I had seen a Red Hot Chili Pepper video that he did, the sort of black and white and silver one. And I wanted to do a video to a song called Big Time Sensuality. And I was very aware of that I wanted it to be quite different from Human Behavior, which is more sort of epic storytelling thing. That Big Time Sensuality was more like a personal statement that has to be very in your face.
I discovered the music and I was like, before the album was released, and I was like, oh, what an amazing artist. It sounded so fresh, so new, and so powerful. And right away I contacted her, and there was a song that I loved, but she just did the video for it, or she just was about to do the video for it. And then she told me about Big Time Sensuality.
If I remember it right, Stefan brought a treatment, which we both agreed on.
But the budget was very, very little, and one morning she called me and she said, you know what, I think we're not going to do a video for it. We're going to move on to another track, because... and I was like, you know what, give me until tonight. And if I can come up with something completely new, completely different, and I said, okay. And then I had an appointment to do uptown, and I took my mini disc with me. And on the way back, I was in the taxi, and I was listening, and we were in the traffic, and I look at the streets, and I was like, it's perfect for New York.
And then he called up a little later with something he thought was even better. And the idea with basically to get a truck and drive up and down Manhattan as long as the light would last.
Perfect. The traffic, New York, the big streets, the big buildings. And then I called her back right away, and then she was very excited. She was, I love it, okay, let's do it.
Yeah, I guess the idea to put someone on a truck and then kind of drive the truck, and you have to like dance really intensely, and just that element of danger, and on top of that, do it in a city like New York. I think the policemen were very aggressive, asking us to try to stop to do it, and we were kind of a bit like anarchists, kind of not stopping, and so the police was kind of after us. And then you get all these people, all those people actually wanting to jump on the truck and take part. It's like, are you doing a movie? Like, can I take part? And
sometimes I was like on the truck, and I was like, wow, this song is so beautiful. And I was just looking at people passing by, not reacting. And I remember the reaction from the New Yorkers that I've seen everything. You know, they're like, oh, well, you know, what is it? Okay, it's a music video on the truck, okay. And some people enjoy just seeing shooting on the truck and being like, yeah, right on, you know.
And we had like really big speakers, and we were blasting the song. So it was kind of like everybody were kind of listening, and you know what New York people are like, they're very sort of open anyway, so everybody were like clapping and dancing along, and it sort of was a bit of a performance statement, I guess. Yeah, it was a great day. We had a great laugh.
It's like some artists give you complete trust, and I was very lucky or very good at, I don't know if it's part of the instinct, picking up. I mean, they picked me, but I also picked them. Picking up like artists that I knew that it would be complete trust. And like the number one artist that really say, you know what, I want you to do this video. Boom, this is a song. It's Björk. It's like that's the number one artist that like high level quality, because she completely give you the song and you do your vision. And the Big Time Sensuality video, I don't think I will not give it to anybody else.
How much of it's improvised and how much of it's choreographed by you? Like, do you have rehearsals, or do you
Nothing is choreographed by me. It was like I put the camera. I knew that she will, you know. I knew, but I was like, okay, I hope. But she was like so strong. It's like she came dressed the way she was, and she was so cute. And we did like we started probably like it was like night when we set it up. So it was like probably 6, 7 in the morning until night. She probably danced for like 9 hours, 8 hours. She was so exhausted. the DP Let's Accord was like, do you think I should have a reflector, you know, here? And I was like, yeah, okay, I don't know, okay, yeah, okay, great, you know, whatever, I didn't care. Now it would be more like, oh yeah, maybe it could be better for her, yes, it's true, you know. So, voilà. What was your question?
My name is Björk and I'm in a Welsh forest.
Dolgelly to be precise, where Eurotrash stumbled into a leafy glade and found the Icelandic pixie putting the finishing touches to her latest video for her new single entitled Isobel. But what exactly is going on? Björk explained to Eurotrash what the video was all about.
Basically, the story of Isobel is she was born in a forest by a spark, and as she grew up, she realised that the pebbles on the forest floor were actually skyscrapers. And by the time she was a grown-up woman and the skyscrapers had taken over the forest, she found herself in a city, and she didn't like all the people there so much because they were a bit too clever for her. She decided to send to the world all these moths that she had trained to go and fly all over the world and go inside windows of people's houses, the ones that are too clever, and they sit on their shoulder and remind them to stop being clever and start to function by their instinct. And they do that by saying na 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 to them, and then they say, oh, sorry, I was being all clever there, and they start functioning on instinct.
Thank you, Björk.
No, it's not the story, it's shit.
This tetchy little Frenchman, Michel Gondry, is the director on a mission to turn Björk's double Dutch into celluloid. But it's okay, he speaks her language, even to the extent of fulfilling her unusual meat-related requests.
Okay, she speaks about her heart. It's funny to show a real heart, which is just a piece of meat.
Michel has been feeding Björk's hunger for startling images for a while now, as well as churning out videos for such rock luminaries as the Black Crowes and Lenny Kravitz. His ability to create strange worlds populated with weird inhabitants has earned Michel a bit of a reputation as a mad scientist, and Björk loves it.
I guess I've got a soft spot for scientists. When I was in school, I used to fall for the boys with the thick glasses who sat in the back of the class and had insect collection around their house. And I guess in a certain way, Michel fits under that.
In fact, Michel the mad scientist plans to do a full-length movie about the love life of insects. And guess who's doing the soundtrack?
I said Michel, insects and love. I could deal with that chemistry. How am I going to get out of this one? Yeah, the video to Possibly Maybe was done, I don't know what to say, it's quite personal. I'm not sure if it should be here. I don't know, it's...
Okay.
Yeah, I guess Possibly Maybe it's about Stefan. Possibly Maybe is about an end of a relationship and not very up. And it was great to do it with Stefan. It was like a very, very healing process.
I think it was very courageous, is maybe a big word, but that we managed to do this video together.
Yes, Stefan was totally alert and with me the whole time. I think Stefan has got a great talent to bring a lot of physicality to the people that he works with, and he'll kind of inject you with sort of quite a lot of energy.
With Possibly Maybe, and that's all about emotion. Each verse, I think, is a month, and I decided to create a special atmosphere that will reflect different emotions. So different colors for each atmosphere, different setup, different element, different clothes, and then there is a bridge where she floats, and the floating, she had that dream. She was walking there. It was a very beautiful dream, and it was going beyond what we filmed. But for the video, I just took that part of her dream that I liked very much.
So is that why when like you hear the phone ringing,
Yeah.
it's distorted? Is that why you shake the image?
Yes, because basically it's a dream. She's in a dream, and then the image starts to vibrate because the phone is ringing, and she get out of her sleep. And what we did also, that was one of the secrets of the set design here, is that we used a lot of elements that were coming from Björk's home, because it had to be personal, because that's the way she is, and that's the way the song was. So it had to be really elements that came from her house, paintings, stuff like that.
Stefan is very emotionally like dynamic and very strong, and he has that effect on people, which is great. It's sort of like a tidal wave, and what it does is it exaggerates the person, and then he documents it. And I think it's a great and a rare talent to have.
Tu m'as déjà vu devenir énervé sur un tournage?
Oh yes, oui. Tournage du clip de Björk, de Bachelorette.
Ouais.
Tu t'es mis en colère aussi parce que les glaces ne marchaient pas comme... tu sais, les glaces... Non, les glaces, il y avait des pans de glace, je sais plus quoi ça servait, et ça marchait pas bien comme tu voulais.
Yeah, the Bachelorette shooting with Björk, I got into a fit because a glass door that was supposed to revolve was not working, and it's very kind of frustrating when you know everything is worked out in your head and it's supposed to work, and because one technical detail I was not carefully taken care of, you have to give up on your idea. I have a hard time with that.
One day I found a big book buried deep in the ground. I opened it, but all the pages were blank. Then, to my surprise, it started writing itself. I guess with Bachelorette, after we misbehaved with Army of Me and Isobel, and then we behaved on Hyperballad and Yoga, where we did really low budget stuff. It was time for the third part of the trilogy, and we were going mega.
So she gave me the storyline. I asked myself what would be the most extreme stuff I could do with her. And to me, the most extreme situation would be to be in a normal, like romantic situation, like she's having an affair with a producer. So I had this idea that, she finds this book that tell her destiny, and she has to fulfill the destiny of the book to make it work, basically.
So it was basically the saga of Isobel continues, and she goes on the train, and it's like a train beat in the song. Goes back to the city and confronts all her lovers with love, and then in the end withdraws. Nature wins, takes over the city, and she ends happy. Yeah, so that's Bachelorette.
In many of my videos, I always use the contrast with nature and the city. I think it's because when I was young, I was living in a house exactly at the limit of the forest and the city. And in my mind, I was not sure what was underneath. If it was the concrete of the city that was composing the whole earth, or if it was the dirt of the forest. So I did this little model to explain you what was in my mind when I was this age. So we will cut this planet in half. So that was the two way I would think of inside of the planet. First, when I was really young, I thought the planet was made of a big block of concrete, like it was under the city, and it was just a little skin of dirt under the forest. Then a little later, I realized that probably it would be more logical that actually the Earth was made of a big block of dirt with a little skin of concrete to support the city. I had thought out the idea for 1 year. It was all in my mind. I knew it would be difficult, but if it was working, it would be interesting.
Michel Gondry told me about how it's all sleight of hand. He compares using visual effects to magicians. And I think that's cool. You get the audience to look here when you do the trick over here. And I love that. And that's what I like to try and do. By thinking about what he said, I try and do that. By doing one trick here and one trick here, they're looking here, but then the trick happened here. So in the shot that doesn't look like there's a trick, there actually was a trick. That's not my quote, that's Michel Gondry's. I don't want to take credit for that. He's an extremely intelligent French director.
I guess me and Chris had mutual friends in London. I'd been living in London for a while, and this Aphex Twin video happened, and everybody knew, you know, here comes a genius, and we're really, really excited, and a lot of people like talking about him and stuff, and a lot of people suggesting that I should ask him.
It had been on the cards for a while. Eventually she sent the track, and I think it was a track that had already been in a different incarnation on her last album.
Actually a B-side mix. It's not the mix that was on the album, because it was sort of suited his little mood, if you want. I
really, really loved the track. I think at the time I was just trying to make sure that each video I did was different from the last one, you know.
And we decided to do it like after the whole album, so it would be not on any sort of marketing schedule. It would more be like a little mini film or something. I think the only thing I said was that I thought it was very white. I was very, very sure that all is full of white, and I'm trying to describe some sort of a heaven. But I wanted also to have the other level there. There would be like lust. It wouldn't be just clean. And I think I brought those little ivory statues that are like, I think they're Chinese, of like people making love, like sort of erotic things. And I think I mentioned that I think it should be white, hard surface. That is something that's white and frozen. And then it sort of melts because of love and making love, and so it's like a material that usually, like how the ivory kind of becomes just like, it's erotic. It's quite unusual.
You know, I've been obsessed with engineering and industrial robotics since I was a kid, so it was one of the things I was waiting for a chance to do.
I remember him coming up with a treatment, and it was like the perfect treatment. And I read it and I thought it was a masterpiece. It was incredible. And I called him to tell him, and he was like, no, it's not good enough. And I'm like, what do you mean? And I said, no, it's too literal. It's too literal what we spoke about. It's too easy. And then for a few weeks we didn't know what was going to happen. And then he came back with a treatment which had all the same ingredients, but he had just it had all merged and all kind of like yeast in bread. It just all kind of, and brought it to the next level.
You suddenly realise when you come in with ideas and stuff, how many things from the past start cropping up. And I mean, I never would have thought that industrial robotics, when I was a late teenager, would end up having a use when I'm trying to come up with an idea for a music video, you know. But it's really, that's kind of the things that's been quite exciting actually, is the way things that you've loved as in the past can somehow kind of cross-pollinate. I actually felt like it was the riskiest video I was doing, because I didn't know whether that kind of imagery would work with that music, you know.
I think I was at a stage then that I was kind of bored with this kind of whole, you know, you have 6 weeks, you have do-do-do. And I just wanted to kind of work outside it all. I was kind of breaking towards that anyway. We first had a deadline, and then we just forgot about it. I think my role while we were shooting was that we would have monitors that of the robot that I could see, and then I would have to put my head into complete accurate position, like that, and be like that forever.
I always think that my strength is in post, is sculpting stuff up in post, and a lot of time things are pretty ramshackle in the way they're shot, and I think that with the Björk video, that was the most extreme example of that. I mean, that really was a disaster up until the 11th hour. What I essentially shot for that video was a bunch of stills of this set with these props standing there, and these shots of Björk in a blue costume with her face painted white, singing. And so in the Avid, looking at this stuff, it just looked awful. And I actually had a panic attack when I went to the telecine to look at the rushes. I just thought, this is a fucking disaster. This is so awful, it's so cheap and nasty. And it was only when Glassworks started doing the computer graphics stuff, and then I'd say about 6 or 7 shots in, as the shots were starting to be done, I started to realise how the video was going to be made completely with the computer graphic editions. And I start having ideas for ways of making the video better all the time. So we were kind of improvising stuff in post. And up until that point, I had absolutely no faith whatsoever in computer graphics, and now I'm more of a convert, really. But also with the Björk video, I wanted it to look a little bit 70s. I wanted it to look a little bit old-fashioned. When you shoot into light, it kind of fucks with the contrast a little bit and makes it look a little bit old. But essentially, she got me to do the video and then left me alone. I mean, even when I was doing the post on it, I asked her, do you want to come and see some stuff? And she was like, no, I'll wait till it's done. It made me just want to work even harder to do something she liked. When people interfere and worry, it just, for me, it just makes it so difficult. Whereas with that video, you know, she just completely left me alone.
I guess when you come across someone as special as Chris, you kind of realise that your role, I mean, you just go humble and you kind of realise that your role is more to make sure there's a connection between the tune and the video, and that's sort of your role. And then you set up a space or like a place where he can work with no interference, and that sort of more ends up maybe being in your role.
Also see 2 master takes I took over 2 days of rehearsal on location in the Swedish countryside with Björk and Peter Stormare.
I've seen it all. I have seen the trees. I have seen the willow leaves dancing in the breeze. I've seen a man killed by his best friend, and lives that were over before they were spent. I've seen what I was, and I know what I'll be. I've seen it all. There is no more to see.
highest day.
My pulse was as high on my very first day.
Your grandson's hand as he plays with your head.
To be honest, I really don't care. With laughter and roots and dear and undo. I've seen it all. I've seen the dark. I've seen the brightness in one little spark. I've seen what I choose and seen what I need, and that is enough to one more would be green. I've seen what I was and I know what I'll be. I've seen it all. There is no more to see.
But of course I'm disappointed. I mean, I thought, at least, I got the opportunity to work with two of my favorite artists, that is Björk and Spike Lee. I mean, I watched all his film. Jungle Fever was a favorite of mine, very exotic film, Do the Right Thing, and I was asked to come first of all the participants at 8 in the morning. But all of a sudden I'm there standing, and there's a camera in my face and lights and everything, and I obviously misunderstood the whole thing because I thought that this was rehearsal. But then they just said, next.
The triumph of our heart.
Everybody get up and start dancing.
All that gives all. The triumph of our heart. That gives all. That gives all.
And one more triumph of the heart. One more.
Okay.
And everybody jumping up and down.
The triumph of our heart. That gives all. That gives all.
Into the camera, Björk.
The triumph of our heart.
Triumph of the heart. I mean, it means that the heart should win, right?
Yeah, it's about, you know, the beauty of giving it all, you know, just forgiving everything, and like in the video, the cat forgives everything. So he's the triumphant.
There are obviously quite a few elements in the video, but I think we can all agree on Nietzsche being the star, the cat in the video. He was just so great. We contacted this girl, Gulla, and she has about, I don't know, 10 or 15 cats or something. And she brought in 3 cats. It's quite funny. One was called Wittgenstein, Derrida, and then Nietzsche. And Derrida was just, you know, definitely not the right character for this, just didn't work. Wittgenstein was actually quite good, and we thought we'd use him in the beginning. But when we put him into the suit, he just went totally crazy and started actually sketching Mr. Jones. So, you know, Nietzsche was the one that got the part. And, you know, he was just great. And just seeing the dialogue between the director and the cat was just beautiful. He must have a cat himself, or at least a pet. You know, it was just so natural. You could almost think it was an Icelander.
The cat in Icelandic mythology has been one of these kind of primal or fundamental elements.
There is this fairy tale that Björk is unconsciously working with. Immediately when I saw the first rushes of the video, I understood that she was really touching walking on a very common ground of my research for my doctorate, actually. In this fairy tale, we have this cat who is like taking care of the farm, and this cat is married to a man who is like not taking care of anything, just going to town and getting drunk. So the cat cannot, like, in a way, manage the whole domestic enterprise. So the hay is getting rotten, you know, and when the sheep are getting born, you know, they rot in the ground, and so it's like this cat turns into a woman. It was actually Spike that turned this fairy tale upside down.
We recorded the song at this nice and sleazy bar called Circus. Circus,
of course, what else? And it's just this crazy madhouse full of these arty-farty types and very colorful and...
Yeah, the bar at Circus is, it's the bar where I hang out all the time.
I guess the people working on this video knew about my music and were interested in having me participating in the audition to comment and do some yodeling. Yodeling is something I did on my second album, which was sort of like, you know, more a musical, you know, joyful album, have a drink here, whereas my first global Voxique was more, you know, original and true to the Voxique tradition. And the yodeling part here was on the second one.
I mean, we had all sorts of people coming to the audition. I mean, there were, I don't know, 200-300 people or something that came. I hadn't actually phoned that many, but you know, the word spread out that Björk was about to shoot video with Mr. Spike Jones. So that was fine. That was great. You know, we were happy to have more to choose from. So I mean, everybody did really, really good. You know, it was interesting just to see, you know, what people do when, you know, hearing a song for the first time and put in front of a mic and, you know, just be spontaneous, perform.
They didn't choose me, which is like, you know, very sort of, you know, I wasn't expecting anything. I'm not a musician, I'm an artist, and yeah, and it's like this was not very comfortable, and no, there was like, they said that there was lots of people, and you know, this casting director was really sort of strict and stressed, and when I heard that I had not gotten chosen from this like audition thing, I just thought about it, and and I felt that this was something that I should really be in, because I knew my friends were going to be in it, and so I just kind of called them, and they agreed with me. So I just made a few calls, and when I showed up, there was like no problem. Everybody was just relaxed, and it was. I mean, the idea from the director was that it was like supposed to be like a regular night at the bar where we all go, and everybody was just like, behaving normal, except for the casting director, who was like weird, acting kind of strangely all the time, and sort of giving me the evil eye.
I was not surprised when hundreds of people, came to this audition. If you put an ad in the paper saying, we need people to come and do sounds with their body, with their voice, Iceland is the place to do it. I'm sure you wouldn't find this as easy in other parts of the world. You could get, go to France and get, hundreds and hundreds of violinists coming, and maybe to the USA, and you would have guitarists. And what else? You could go maybe
We just went to this test and didn't know anything what I was doing, and I just did something. And then they said, okay, we're going to shoot the video. And then I went there and didn't know really what was happening. And then we spent this one day there in the bar. And
we just did all this rhythm stuff that's in the video. It was all done like live when we were shooting. So because before we had done it in the studio, and Björk had edited and was really like really classy poppy stuff. But I'm really glad they used the lo-fi version, which was done like live in the bar.
The people that ended up in the video are actually people that whose sounds fitted best for a new edit of the sound that Björk's engineer Valgeir Sigurðsson and Björk herself edited together for a special version for this video. So, it wasn't just about maybe, doing a great performance or coming up with a hilarious sound or, doing something, very artistic.
The triumph of a heart that gives all, that gives all.
And real loud. Real drunk.
The triumph of a...
Well, as I've said before, I thought that my artistic message wasn't represented enough during the audition. So I talked to a friend of mine who's an editor, and we made a compilation of well, let's say my artistic career. And I've been quite involved artistically right from grammar school. I won a talent show when I was 14 in Hagaskóli, a local grammar school here. And I participated in many events since then. For instance, as many of you know, I participated in a very provocative version of the Phantom of the Opera during high school. What I'm thinking now, and this is just from the top of my mind, is that they got the tape, but they never even looked at it.
Go sleep tonight. Tonight we'll sleep freaks. Sleep freaks. Go! Get it! You could have done better than that. Hey, that side! kid, kill it! Morphin.
Should have done that song. This is a disco song, Spy. Yeah, I just had it, you know.
How come?
Just with the cat.
Why?
He's just not very flexible. He's very stubborn.
Mm-hmm.
He should loosen up a little, you know.
The triumph of
He's a really cool cat. I really like it when he's sitting in the house, like watching out the window.
That's good. Give him a look outside.
Look outside. Does he look off balance?
He looks a little
Lean
crooked.
to the right, towards you. There you go.
Okay, ready? Here, keep your paw up there. Can you see his paws?
A little bit.
Do we see him more?
No, they're good. They're good.
I thought it was really nice that he had like adopted kind of or like taken this old fairy tale or this folk sort of story of the cat and the workman, and you know he did it really nicely, and you know it's like, you know, in a way it's kind of a creepy story, but you know he turns it into something fun, you know, and I just really like it when people are, you know, working with the folklore and the Icelandic myths, and you know there's more to them than the elves and the trolls and all that. And the cat category is really great.
The cat woman saving the first sheep from rot in the ground. It's like, but the man, her husband is like on the other side of the mountain we see here on the horizon.
It's the cat from Shrek. I had been like totally in love with this character, and then I was on this video, and I never dared to show it to Björk.
The cat in the insignia of Iceland is very emblematic and symbolic for Iceland as the origin of Iceland and the first animal, the first mammal, and the first being here.
The cat with a hat, it's fantastic.
The cat as a three-dimensional shadow. Yeah, the cat in a way like entering the house. You know, the desire entering the body.
The booted cat, you know.
So like a little bit like the cat playing the piano, like Paganini playing the violin. You know, the music, Diabolus ex musica.
Who else? Cat Stevens.
So here we have the Christmas cat.
Yes, a Christmas cat.
We have of course the cat people. We have the cat woman in Batman, and this is not my field, of course, so I cannot say many things about this. But we have, you know, of course, Felix the cat. We have
the musical.
Yeah, in the beginning it was such a misunderstanding. It was quite embarrassing for me. I totally misunderstood the whole thing, so I started looking for and spent like a whole day phoning up people that, you know, look a little bit like cats, that have face that's a little bit, you know, forward, you know, not flat like my face. And, you know, because I thought, I don't know why, I just thought, you know, we were going into that direction of the musical Cats. So I thought, you know, we'll have makeup girls and, you know, costumes and all that.
Hold on a sec. Oh, you're such a good kitty cat. You're such a sweetheart.
I have been thinking a lot about the day in the shooting of the video, because, you know, what do artists do? They inspire each other. And I was inspired by the approach using the cat. As we know here in Iceland, it's a symbol. And it's, you know, has been maybe considered like a, you know, something you don't deal with or something you don't touch. But, you know, she did it in a very bold way, and it was fun, and you know, I'm sure people will enjoy it. And certainly I did, because, you know, I'm thinking, why not use, you know, use the cat as an instrument?
my god. Oh shit. Wait, look at me, look at me, look at me. Ask me if it's bad.
Is it bad?
It's pretty fucked. Oh fuck.
The triumph that gives
We started with calling musicians, you know, bands like Trabant, Sigur Rós, Moon, Apparat, things like that. And then, you know, guys like Einar from the Sugar Cubes, Marcus Anders was there.
I mean, if Björk should do an album more based on the voxical tradition, and I would gladly, you know, be around. But for me to be asked just to do the yodeling, of course, it may be 1% of what I have done and what I work with. I mean, 15% maybe of the voxic tradition is the voice, using the voice, as Björk is doing on her new album. I mean, but what's this? I mean, the heartbeat, the intestines, the joints, yeah. Stroking, you know, all these funny little sounds that you can make with your body. This is voxic, and this goes back.
Who else? Beatboxers, hip-hoppers, Egil Sæ Björnsson.
Yeah, I mean, like on the last album there's this song, Wanna Love You As You Are, and like almost the whole beat is, a lot of the beat, like the bass drum is done with the voice.
No, I mean, I've been trying to show you my tape, and
the first one, the network of the nerves, then the network of the blood, and the network of the oxygen. Then there's the muscle network.
Voxic takes in the whole spectrum of the body as an instrument. The veins, filled with blood, pumped through the veins by the heart. The drum machine, as I used to call it. You know, the intestines, as we were talking about earlier, the sexual organs, the joints, and of course the throat. I mean, there's more to the throat than just the voice. This is what I'm working with, and other musicians around the world. Though not many are doing it, you know, all the way. So many are influenced by it, like Björk in a way, on a Madula album, Jónin Vangelis, Klaus Nomi, Enya, Bobby McFerrin.
I read in an interview with Björk when she was talking about the Medulla album that it was all, you know, obviously she's using only the voice. And it all seems to be about, you know, going back to the basic element, home, maybe, in a way. And I mean, the video visualizes that idea. And in practice, it actually was like that. The house belongs to her family, you know. The story is based on a folk story about the cat and the worker. The play circus is, you know, a bar where Björk goes, sometimes with her friends, and some of the people in the video are actually her friends.
She didn't hire any like professional stunts or people from her outer world in a way. So it's like because she's working with this topic, the cat, which is, as I told you, the cat as a symbol of nature, desire, and friendship, and even love.
I'm allergic to cats, quite allergic, and if I do not get immediate treatment to my allergy, I will die. So I presume that when Björk came from shooting with the cat, that she would be just covered with cat hairs, and these cat hairs would spread out throughout the bar, and that would mean, well, a life-risking position for me, and I'm not comfortable with that. And maybe what's the best thing that that my talent was overlooked by the high people in New York, America, Mr. Spike Lee and Mr. Björk.
The stubborn trunks of these legs of mine serve as pathways for my favorite fuel. Heading upwards towards my kidneys. The triumph of a
It's been the most pressure for me to do a video for Björk because I didn't want to disappoint her. Declare Independence has this very raw and punk quality that I really like. So I was really eager to work on it. But I think we need another one looking down. But I think the idea came to me when I saw her in concert. I saw her on how she would feed the audience with her energy, and then the audience would respond to her energy by giving her energy back, and then she would be fed by this energy and bounce it back to the audience. So I thought of a machine to reproduce those connections that are mostly sound, but they're more like sound and more energy connection. Okay, because we could have as well this effect from below. You want to try from below a little bit on the left? Okay, hang on, 1 second. And I thought of this machine that would tie everybody together through some rope that would go in a circle, going from the bass player. So it feeds her with his sound, and then she sort of bombards the audience with her sound waves that are represented by the rope, and then the rope get collected all together, the region, the bass, and then the loop is looped, and they go again around. So we asked Tim, the constructor, to build it basically from my drawings, and it was very precise.
We are making loops out of this rope, and it requires very intricate threading that we are being incredibly overpaid for, because there's people that get paid $3 an hour that can do it better than us. No.
Declare independence. Don't let them do that to you. Declare independence. Don't let them do that to you.
Yeah, it's fun.
Mark Bell and Björk is a very long-term association. It's very faithful, and it's a little bit like Björk and I working together. It's based on trust and just friendship.
Yeah, it really hurts your neck.
on this side, just with the weight of your head.
Video are not a very economical system, functioning system anymore. So we had to make it work for the money, and it was such a huge challenge. Yes, Rafi has been working with me for years now. I don't know how he did that because it's pretty much a miracle. The machine was all made out of steel, and we had the full crew for the shooting. Hélène Curas came with her crew. They were really just great because I don't do this kind of project, like kind of guerrilla style. They're more used to movies, and like they really accepted to work with very little light. It's more one of the most performance-based video I've done. I think it was a necessity, and as well it corresponds to the look, to the really in the present look. There's no nostalgia about it. It's really, we're just watching this machine and how it works with Björk.
Raise your flag. 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 Declare independence. Don't let them do that to you. Declare independence. Don't let them do that to you.
To me, I was more trying to illustrate the energy of the music on Björk's voice. And I think by doing that, I illustrate the song in a more complex way than simply seeing people declaring their independence.
2, 3.
My name is Damien Saccio. I'm principal and co-founder of the UV Factory in New York. We do motion graphics of all sorts. We brand television networks. We do a lot of broadcast design work. We do commercials. We do music videos, and we do a lot of corporate branding as well. Björk's Wanderlust video was a big production that we just finished recently, and it was a very interesting job. It took on our end, about 6.5 months from conception to finish. It was a little over 9 months actually. And this all started for us through some friends that we have at a small production company called Ghost Robot, which is in New York. They represent Encyclopedia Pictura, which is Isaiah Saxon and Sean Helfrich. They came up with a really interesting treatment, and we read it and we're like, this is absolutely amazing, that's a great idea. And I should probably mention, I guess, is one of the amazing ideas for the video from the conception was that this was going to be shot stereoscopically, and the whole thing would be made into a 3D stereoscopic version of the video. So around the summer of 2007, we accompanied Encyclopedia Pictura to Björk's partner Matthew Barney's studio in Long Island City, and got the brief on the project and started working on it. Basically went on a 6.5-month odyssey of trying to composite everything together, do all the 3D, develop that whole sort of look, and create a 2D version and a 3D version, or 2 different 3D versions of the video. Because a lot of people are asking me, what was the biggest challenge of this video? And it's kind of weird because kind of every single itsy bitsy little aspect of this video was an incredible challenge. almost every single aspect of the video was something that either hadn't been done before or was something that was, due to the budgets of music videos, everything on this entire project was done very much with this sort of do-it-yourself kind of mentality. These two digital cameras that could do 2K, stuck at right angles to each other with a 45-degree like half-silvered mirror. There was full-size live-action animatronic puppet. There were two, obviously Björk and what we call the pain body were filmed live. There was miniature landscapes. On the post-production side, our biggest challenge was that we had to integrate all that stuff together. It had to all be composited together to look like it was an environment much bigger than what it actually was. There was only one piece of miniature landscape, and that had to be filmed, here, 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 all composited together and made to look as one. And then in addition to that, we had to be putting all the 3D elements in, the water, the spray, the splashes, all the stuff of reacting to these little miniatures that were shot. And then in addition to that, make room for these actual yaks, which was really only one yak, and then had to digitally composite it to look like there was numerous ones. So that was just an enormous challenge. We actually used a hair simulation program, or a hair simulation module of our 3D program to create this water. Yeah, the directors were really interested in this sort of really kind of surrealistic, hyper-real kind of look, this otherworldly look, and we were really into that, and we wanted to challenge ourselves and figure out like how can we make the water this thing that's totally unreal, but has a lot of realistic elements to it. And so that was like a big sort of R&D challenge for us. You'd be surprised, but there's a lot of fudging that you can do. You can take something from one eye and just copy it over to the other eye and reposition it a bit, and you can actually get a pretty good approximation. And there's little techniques that we use to sort of check things ahead of time. That was actually a big challenge as well for the compositing team, was to figure out how do you view this and make sure that things are working right as you're working on it, and that was a little bit difficult.
have lost my origin, and I don't want to find it again. Rather sailing into nature's laws and be held by ocean's pores. Wanderlust, relentlessly craving wanderlust. Peel off the layers until you get to the core. Imagine it would be like this was it. Something like this I wished for. Lust for comfort suffocates the soul. Relentless, relentless.
Is this finished or we do it again?
We'll do it again from another angle.
There's a whole legacy of Björk videos. I'm more excited than anything to contribute to her world, because ultimately it's Björk's world that we're creating.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, maybe attach it first and then we can just kind of pat it out.
Björk is so willing and generous with her just letting us do what we needed to do to achieve this specific vision.
Let's move the puppets out. Still rolling.
We had to keep her in this sandbox for hours and put her in laborious, time-consuming makeup, and even making her spit out this gooey cake batter ketchup mix. So Björk is incredibly patient and just very enthusiastic.
To our continuity, I didn't know you had it in you.
Cut. That's great. Well, it clear this.
I've really been into puppetry since I was a kid, like Jim Henson and stuff, so I really wanted to make a piece that felt practical with CG effects that kind of augmented, and we're using physical rocks that we carved out of foam and various other materials to be the live-action basis for these effects and to really show the strata merging together and forming the mutual core.
And kept you, I didn't know you had it in you. You hit the key to our continuity.
Visual effects requires a lot of visual planning beforehand, so I definitely storyboard everything out. And that usually dictates the take, is whether I know I can fit this CG rock here, so it's definitely a back and forth process. I think there's something special about shooting in her hometown, in a place where there is so much geothermal volcanic activity. I think it kind of helps inspire the process, and it's just a beautiful place to shoot.
So I originally met Björk through an introduction through Joel Orr, who's one of Autodesk's ex-fellows, and I invited her and Andrew Wang, who's the director of Black Lake, to a tour of Autodesk Gallery and the Pier 9.
So when Björk and I actually went and visited the San Francisco office, I think it became very clear that Autodesk were a collective of innovators, and I think that actually spoke to Björk on the technological possibilities of what Autodesk were researching, and that by engaging with Autodesk, she was actually engaging with some very creative people, and I think that's why that collaboration was solidified and it felt right for her.
Pier 9's our state-of-the-art facility in San Francisco. It was developed to create a better interface between software and hardware. And it was really about exploring and pushing the boundaries of our software and hardware tools to really create an environment where people try and succeed in doing what is currently thought impossible. Now, it's extremely rare that production level tools are available in non-production environment, but it's just this type of environment that we believe fosters innovation.
At the end of 2013, Björk approached me to help her create visuals for not only the album, but also her new retrospective at the Museum of Modern Art.
With all my albums, there is always a character that I try to convey and put on the cover. I almost look at it like a tarot card. And the person and the symbolism of the person who made that album. Some of it is me, but I'm trying to tap into something that's more universal and a state of being that maybe I was in that particular year and will probably never get there again. But maybe it is the right time for other people to enter that state.
Basically, everything that we're doing is in service of the music, and this whole new album is very much a heartbreak album. So I've been kind of helping Björk interpret visually what her music is about for this new album. You know, it's a museum, a record label, and film production all converging. I knew that I needed to film in a really high-res, expansive format, and so we shot on the Red Epic. Björk also wanted something 360, which is also why we chose to work in this very wide format, so that we could have you know, like 2 screens really wrap around us. But I also knew that we would need a really hefty 2D pipeline to handle this footage, which is precisely why we needed Flame. It's Wolf and Crow's favorite workflow to work through, and I can't imagine trying to tackle this expensive tapestry-like format without, you know, that Flame support from Autodesk. The challenge is, how do you make the visual effects serve the emotional content of the work?
Me and Andy Huang started sketching. Andy took my sketches and elaborated on them, both with his own drawings, beautiful drawings he gave me, I have in my house. And then with treatments, where he would take on my ideas, but then add on it a whole universe of his own. And in a very generous, graceful way would unite both of our worlds into this Vulnicura aesthetic.
So these are some of the storyboards that Andrew created initially working with Björk and James Mary to bring her vision about Black Lake to life. He sent these to me to discuss opportunities to collaborate with them for the exhibition for Black Lake, which was really to be the centerpiece of Björk's MoMA retrospective.
When I first came up with the storyboard for Black Lake, it was much more effects heavy and much more stylized. I had different sort of turning point scenes where her body was going to be covered with blue lava, and she was going to actually be oozing blue lava from her feet. And I think, to be honest, when we arrived in Iceland, it was very clear that this was almost more of a really performance-heavy piece and more like an opera, and that whatever style choices we made had to match the raw starkness of that performance.
And then the wound on the chest. I talked a lot with Andy Huang about the yoga position called the bridge. And for me, something very ritualistic about this position, where you acknowledge that you have a wound, and by going into this pose and lifting yourself up, you are starting the healing process. And the tools you need for it to get healed will appear to you.
In the opening trailer for Black Lake, Björk has an actual wound that we placed on her body, and we knew that that had to actually pump fluid, and it had to be very specific shape, and it had to match her torso. So we actually modeled a wound in 3D and printed it and shipped it to Iceland for our production. We also did a lot of Icelandic fungal research and found a very specific kind of coral moss fungus shape. Arthur at Autodesk helped us model quite precisely, and then 3D printed that. That was also inlaid with that prop piece.
The opening trailer for Black Lake was shot in a large warehouse with these really amazing props. They looked exactly like the landscape with the really detailed moss and lava rock. So one of the bigger challenges was the long crane shots in the trailer. They were around 2,000 frames each, and Flame easily managed this huge amount of 4K and 5K footage, along with compositing all of the reality capture data.
For the lava, that's a CG piece that we've brought in and comped. The big challenge with that shot was actually stitching 2 takes together and then being able to use the same sim to complete through each one. It's been very smooth as far as integration goes. It's nice when all platforms kind of working together.
For the trailer for Black Lake, we have her lying in this wound, and as we dive into the wound, we enter this really beautiful ravine, kind of echoing the ravine that she wrote the song in.
Ravine was really just a magical place. So our role on the project was primarily to capture the terrains. We shot from our X8 multi-rotor, so you can see the cameras that are all aerial cameras. We needed a lot of detail right where she was walking because this camera was going to be traveling just a few inches from the surface of these rock faces, so that required an enormous amount of resolution. We basically have a photograph taken about every 2 feet. So this gave us this extremely detailed and then also extremely large area. So that's how we got both the detail and the coverage.
Black Lake was filmed in Iceland over 3 days in July of 2014 in some really unique locations that brought Black Lake to life.
For me, somehow, this album was also about leaving the world and coming home to Iceland and creating space to get healed.
Probably the most challenging location was inside of this gorgeous red lava tube. It was a very confined space, and it had rained the day before we went there. It was extremely cold and slippery and kind of raining with all this water inside the cave during the shoot.
It's all about her shutting herself from the world, getting over her wounds, and then once she has that in a very visceral, cathartic way, she will get healed. She's allowed to enter the real world again.
At the end of Black Lake, she sings about like stripping off layer by layer as she returns home, and she sings about this image of her as like a rocket burning through the atmosphere. So how do we creatively interpret that, and then what technical challenges we run up against with that? For instance, we shot her wearing the special cape designed by Iris van Herpen, where Iris created these beautiful, fragile-looking cape pieces that were cut in like 1 millimeter strips. And as she cut those, the material turned red. So we've got this very skin-like or very fragile, delicate-looking material that she's wearing. How do we evoke that feeling of her stripping off layer by layer using visual effects So what we did is we ended up actually taking some samples of Iris Van Herpen's materials and recreated it in Maya using Maya hair, and actually created a system so that each one of these pieces could not only flow through the air but also actually fray, so that we could actually see those millimeter strips like coming apart. As Björk is spinning, her body is actually splitting apart layer by layer, and that it should feel skin-like and beautiful and spectacular, and making a moving sculpture at the end of that song.
So to help design and fabricate the cinema room, I introduced Björk and Andrew to David Benjamin, who's this amazing architect, and he's the principal of the Living and Notget studio.
And so we knew really that the design should come from the inside out, and really from the music out to the rest of the experience. Early on, we had developed the idea of taking data from the sound file and using that to help generate the design. You know, it's going to cover the entire ceiling and all of the walls, and it will blend into the floor, which will hardly be visible because of the lighting effects. So it will be a real immersive environment. It has over 7,000 unique felt cones. So our software tools were great for managing the complexity of all these unique shapes and being able to manufacture 7,000 unique pieces. When you go in and see the space and experience it, the softness and the material properties of the felt, that you feel like it was kind of touched by human hands. I mean, that's actually a really interesting and unique position to be in, like designing a room, not only for one use, but for one single song.
I want people to feel like they're entering this just really special kind of sanctuary-like space to experience this really epic heartbreak song. What ended up happening is that a lot of the assets that we've acquired from shooting with Björk in Iceland have become not just incorporated into Black Lake, but also to her other visual pieces for Volnakira, including a new upcoming vinyl and CD album cover, and also for a new song called Family that is on the album. The story is two parts. There's the kind of tombstone version of Björk, where she's this wound fossilized in rock, and then there's the kind of healing version of her where she's stitching her wound back together.
So there's a certain sacrifice and a certain submission in romantic love that I wanted to include. For me, pearl is always a very romantic symbol. I feel that idea probably most showed itself in the Family album cover, where the character is sewing pearls into her wound and stitching it together and then walking away once it's healed.
So we developed a thread system so that it would actually collide with the base material, and there would be actual friction as she pulls it through and tension as she pulls it out. And then we're also using Maya end particles to create almost like this scab of pearls to fill in the wound. And then we're also using a lot of wrap deformers to create this effect of wax dripping over the fossil and kind of cocooning it in this healing wax. And then X-Rose's landscapes are featured heavily both in the tombstone scenes of that piece and also in the healing scenes. I thought it would be important to feature her in the landscape for that.
It's been truly magical working with Andy Huang. He comes from this next generation, which are very open to all the digital arts, and him so willing to work with Autodesk and including a lot of the technology from them was really eye-opening.
I think ultimately what we hope to do with all of these tools is to make people feel something. That's the only measure of success I would hope that we get out of this.
So for us, this whole collaboration really wasn't just about Autodesk software. We really felt that it was about connecting people and the tools and going beyond what you ever thought was possible.
My healed chest wound transformed into a gate where I receive love from. Where I give love from, and I care for you, care for you. I care for you, care for you. Care for you, care for you. I care for you, care for you. Split into many parts, splattered light beams into prisms that will reunite if you care for me, care for me. there's so much more to music than just work. If I collaborate, I want connections to be genuine and to be for real.
Collaboration, it forces you to think about where to draw lines and who you are and who they are.
Icelanders, they are not part of the first world. There's no separation between nature and their work. They're not referencing nature, they are nature. In Reykjavik, we have had artists work in a really small town for a really long time. There's like 50 bands, and we all share each other's equipment, and everybody's like helping each other out. Nobody's got any money. We would just make videos in each other's bedrooms and posters by hand. But everybody's really, really clear about their individuality, and especially aesthetic language. The music video is one of the most incredible forms there is. There are so many angles to approach where a song and a visual meet. I think with people like, say, Jesse and Nick Knight and Chris Cunningham, they are like visual artists. I look at my role more being some sort of like a curator.
I was born and raised in Japan. I grew up reading a lot of manga. From like age 13, I started getting really into computers and internet and like finding worlds through that. Like whether it was creating graphics and art or finding out about music, video games, and creating and fabricating.
If I were to describe Jesse, I would say he's very pure and he's very sensual, and he's a very interesting mix of contrasts, especially as an artist.
So like I made the most beautiful mistake of all time. There's something that drives me to creating from scratch, something that hopefully comes close to how gorgeous nature is. I'm always paying attention to how things move and how things color, how things grow, decay, die. I understand I'm working with challenging source material and ideas. Blood and bone and softness and hardness and catastrophe and beauty. And this image is a portrait of Björk. Depending on when you look at it, it can be ugly. And that's the point, that's what I'm trying to do, like making something painful, but transmuting it into something beautiful.
Me and Jesse, we are very different, but I think one of the things we do share is our ideas. It's more important that things, they are alive and are organic. Just that kiss. When I collaborate with people, I really want to go on a trip. The work that comes from that is a natural fruit from the friendship.
Confrontational conversations are really helpful to become stronger friends and collaborators. We are both revealing to each other not just the ugly, but the beautiful.